Specialized have got a new Rockhopper. Now, you might be expecting some super fancy, super top-end bike from a bike launch, but Specialized aren't forgetting those people who want a more entry-level bike, and that is what the Rockhopper is. And we'd love to know what you think about it in the comments. Now, before we go into any details about the bike, first off, yes, I am in my spare room. Now, obviously we're in the middle of this coronavirus lockdown, so we can't be in the studio where we usually shoot videos. It might be a little bit echoey, so I'm very sorry about that, but as you can expect, this is probably the safest and best place to do a video like this. Now, if you do want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe to the BikeRadar YouTube channel, and don't forget as well to click the little bell icon just underneath the video. It means you'll get notifications of all the new videos on channel, including the new Specialized Diverge that came out last week. Now that was a super spendy, top-end, lovely, beautiful bike. The Rockhopper has been in Specialized's range for around 30 years now. It's a venerable classic of the mountain bike genre. They've decided to build this bike from the ground up, give it a completely new frame, and they've made a bike that is incredibly versatile, hence having so many sizes, different wheel size options, and a few little frame design features that I'll talk about later on. In the UK, there are 5 models covering 8 different sizes and 2 different wheel sizes. Now, if you are in the US, I believe there's going to be an extra small 26-inch version of the bike too. However, in the UK, we get in both 27.5-inch versions of the bike and 29ers. So what does that mean in terms of sizing with all these different options? Well, an extra small comes with a 310mm seat tube. That's this length here, really important for getting the size right. And an extra large goes all the way up to 560mm. That's really long. When it comes to length of the bike, and again, this is quite an important thing to get right, you're looking at sizing from 375mm in reach all the way up to 485mm. In terms of pricing, it starts at a really affordable £379 and goes all the way up to £899 for this top spec model. So before much further ado, let's have a closer look at the frame and some of the details on this particular bike. So the frames are basically shared between the top end models and those cheaper ones. They all come with A1 premium alloy, which is, I guess, just their aluminium blend. Now the tubes are double butted, so what that means is that the thickness of the tube is internally thicker at the weld ends than it is in the middle of the tube. That helps give a stronger join where the welding is, and also helps shave a bit of weight because there's less material in the middle of the tubes. Cable routing for the derailleurs and brakes goes inside the down tube. That's internal cable routing. There's a smart little port underneath the BB for the cables to come out, and then at the chainstays you've got the derailleur cable and the brake hose coming along there. So it should be reasonably easy to maintain. And on that note, you also get a threaded bottom bracket shell. Now this is great for maintenance. They're basically easier to maintain at home, so that's a real plus point. Now you can fit a dropper post to this bike, and there is internal cable routing to it, although obviously you'll have to buy your own. Now they do want this to be a versatile bike, and they realise that people buy mountain bikes for various reasons, from mountain biking to things like commuting. So the frame does come with the necessary bolt holes for fenders and pannier racks as well. So if you are going to use it for getting to and from work, this could be a good option. The frame obviously in this large size at the very least comes with a pair of bottle bosses, so if you do want to put your water bottles in there, then there's plenty of space to do so. I guess when we're looking at the more pricier end of the scale, it's a little bit of a shame to see quick release axles on the bikes. Now the fork and the frame have quick releases throughout the range. On the cheaper bikes I don't think that's too much of a problem, but when you get to this level bike where maybe the people who are buying it might want to look at upgrading, having that QR does limit things in terms of upgrading the wheel set to maybe something lighter. Most wheels now come with what's called boost spacing, which has a 148mm axle spacing at the back and 110mm at the front, whereas the QR spacing on this bike is 100mm at the front and 135mm at the back. So it's a little bit limiting in terms of upgrading the wheel set should you wish to do so. So Specialized say that the geometry of the Rockhopper is inspired by their cross-country bikes. And that should mean sort of fairly quick, reactive and snappy handling. Now they do 27.5 inch and 29 inch wheeled versions of the Rockhopper, so obviously the geometry is slightly different between those two wheel sizes, as you would expect. Now the 27.5 inch bikes tend to be smaller sized bikes and the 29ers tend to be larger sized bikes. However, they do have a crossover in the size medium, so I'm going to compare the geometry of medium sized 27.5 and 29 inch bikes. Now in terms of reach, the 27.5 inch bikes get a 415mm reach, whereas the 29ers is up at 425, so it's 10mm longer. The only other difference other than reach really is the head angle, so you get 68 degrees on a 27.5 and 68.5 degrees on the 29ers. They both get the same 400mm seat tube length on a medium. Chainstays are at 440mm and they also get the same seat tube angle at 73.5 degrees. So I've sort of said it a few times in the past, we do find it kind of interesting that some of the more budget bikes that come out of the big brands are based around more cross-country geometry. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Cross-country bikes are really fun to ride, but I think if you're going to try and encourage people into riding a mountain bike, you want to make it as easy to do so as possible, and that to me would be with a more trail-orientated geometry. I was speaking to a person from a different brand this morning about this very thing, and he was sort of saying though that if you have a trail-orientated frame with a longer reach and slacker head angles and all that sort of thing, you kind of need to have a fork that's going to be able to take the potential added stresses of that system into account. And if bike companies can't spec such a fork because they're not available at those cheaper price points, you end up kind of having to build a bike that is maybe a little bit more cross-country focused. It's a little insight. I'm not sure the degrees at which that's correct or not, but I thought it was interesting. So as I said, there are 5 different models and they all have different bits of kit, different prices, so I've got my trusty little notebook just to give me a little bit of a cheat. So the first in the range is the original Rockhopper name. It comes in at £379. The next in the range are the Rockhopper Sport at £449 and the Rockhopper Comp, which come in at £549, and that Comp model gets a lockout on the fork. So the second tier bike of 5 is called the Elite and it comes in at £699, and I think this is possibly like the smart buy. So it's a 29er, you get a RockShox Judy fork. So this has got an air spring, which makes it much easier to adjust for different ride weights. So that's a real plus point, and it's a little bit lower weight. You also get a full Shimano Dior 1x10 drivetrain with an 11 to 42 Sunrace cassette at the back. So it's quite a wide ranging cassette. You don't have a front derailleur. Nice and simple to maintain, easy to ride, easy to sort of understand, I guess. Now the top level bike is this one here. This is the Rockhopper Expert and it's £899. So again, you get that RockShox Judy fork. However, this one has aluminium crown and steerer tube, whereas the Elite gets a steel version. So this one's a little bit lighter. And you get a full 12-speed SRAM SX Eagle drivetrain with those Shimano MT200 hydraulic brakes. You also get tubeless ready wheels and tyres. So this really is kind of ready to go onto the trails and, in theory at least, hit some pretty gnarly tracks. So that's the Rockhopper. We've looked at the frame, we've looked at the kit, we've looked at the different models. Let me know what you think in the comments. Because of the lockdown situation, we're not doing any bike testing at the moment. So I've not ridden the bike, I don't know what it rides like. But as soon as conditions are lifted, things are a little bit easier, we'll be getting out on the trail and we'll be bringing a full review to BikeRadar.com. So let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And click the bell icon so you get notifications every time we upload a new video.